Okay, well, I'm gonna step out. Minute, be right back. Nobody's here, so. And we'll see what kind of comment haters we get. The haters. People making dumb comments. Hey, there's a bunch of people. What's up, guys? So I stopped my other live feed because somebody was making really weird comments. Trying to say they saw me somewhere where I was not. I don't know if they're reciting lyrics to a song or something. Didn't make sense. I get that. is what I'm working on. Man. There. Switchy. These are really pretty when you oil them up. I got to sand this down one more time. Somebody ordered it. Been sitting here a while, so got some stuff on it. Got to get rid of that. Had a coat of oil on it, and then I threw it outside for a while to weather. So then it gets this nice grayish color to it back. And then you sand that down, and it's gonna be real pretty. Can you count the rings? How many years? You guys ever do that on a tree? Ever count the rings? Let's see if I can get a little pointer thing here. See if I can see it. My eyes are really bad today. I'm gonna go from here. One. I can't do it. It's about 100. It's just 70 years old. I don't know. It's old, and it's tight. It's a piece of locust. The dark in between and the light is one ring. See how a tree grows. All right, enough of that. Kind of, a little bit impatient for that. Yeah, I got a lot to do. Got a lot going on. Gotta get this sanded down. Get my little dirty sander out. This thing's had a life. Get noisy. More light. What's up? Yes, it says hi. Hi. Hi back. what you making? What am I doing? What am I making? A piece of wood for, it's just like a end table, a stand, something to the porch. You put your beer on it, your cigarettes, whatever. People order these off of the Etsy site. I have them up just as an item to keep up and keep my page refreshed. This is an old weathered piece of locust, and I put this curve in here because there was rotted wood here and I cut it out, but then it stopped here and it kind of followed that line. I just made the line look kind of more natural, wavy as an interest, you know. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just do this. I make these like this, and that's how they come out when they're done. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm making. The garden. No mask. No, it's not that sand. It's not that dusty. Be careful. Be full of care. No mask. No. Be careful. Right. This. I can't get hurt on this stool. This tool doesn't hurt. I mean, yeah, you can sit there. I wonder how long it would be interesting to take some. I mean, that's not heavy grit paper either. So, yeah, if I were using 40 grit and I did that, it would scratch my arm, but still, I mean, it's not really dangerous. I don't know what that means, be careful. I got a shop full of tools and saws. I'm always using chainsaws, so I don't know. You see, there's my other part of my shop. I don't know how. I think the only danger is trying to operate this phone thing. That thing will drive you right nuts. It'll make you crazy. So this is going to get some oil put on it, some varnish, and then it'll be good to go. Some dangerous work I can show you. These are the little bears that I make. Little carving bears. Cute little eyes. Hearts on the feet. Yep. So, yeah, I'll be doing these. Starting to get into making inventory again. Kind of behind on things right now. Usually with these, I'm just not in the shop that much. I haven't had a lot of shop time. I'm trying to take more. Usually with these, I will wear glasses or like safety eyewear because this throws a lot of like so. Like so. That's kind of our curing, our detailing process. That's what that tool does. Makes a cool little, real quick. It's a little mini power gouge. Fancy little expensive tool that bought years ago. I like them. It's got different blades for it. You can change and make different. It's got a thin blade. You can do real cool stuff with it. Super cool. Awesome. Yeah. Carpet burn overtime. That's, yeah. Well, and it'd have to be on a bet. I'd have to be in a real crazy mood to do something like that. Carpet overtime. Yeah. I mean, you could sit there and hold that sander to your arm. I don't know what would hurt more, just holding it there. You get sore from holding it there for too long, or it actually do something eventually. I'm looking. Everything's a mess up. Trying to see where it's at. Finally got it. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to move you guys over here closer in. So what did we do today? We watched this old crippled guy. I feel crippled most of the time. I'm getting old. Getting older. Alright, so we got our bear, who's barely there. Barely there. Let's see if we can lower, because these things don't always adjust. I'm out of adjustment on the one thing. The other thing, I'm able to move it, but it doesn't move very well. So yeah, I'm going to put the eye protection specs on. Now I got my eye protection. Now I don't like wearing masks. I can't breathe really well in a mask. I do if it's getting really super dusty, but I have to prepare myself for it. can't see with these yellow glasses. They get all, I don't know, they're junk. Yellow safety specs. The best safety eyewear that I found ever. And I wear the dark glasses. They're all the same. You get a 6-pack of them for like 10 or 12 bucks at Lowe's or Home Depot. They have clear ones and they have the shady ones. I never am missing a pair of shades. I have shades and they're fine looking, right? They look like regular shades. So these are about $1 a piece or a little bit more, $1.50 a piece. But you get a 6-pack, and you get a 6-pack of the light ones and a 6-pack of the dark ones. Best thing I've ever found for safety eyewear, because these, as thin as these are right here, right? You might think they're thin and cheapy junk, but they flex real well. And because of these, I can't have real round, real fat ear things. You don't need them anyway. All you need is a little, and they're comfy. Sometimes I forget I'm even wearing them. The best thing I've ever found. And nobody ever says, why are you wearing safety goggles all the time? Like, I walk around in these look like safety eyewear, right? And people are like, why are you wearing safety glasses? You're walking around in a restaurant or you're going, whatever, you think you're something cool with your yellow Bono glasses? No, actually, it's safety, or it's just eyewear. I never liked the yellow anyway. They don't do anything. They just turn everything yellow. When you look through them, that's all that they do, is they make everything look yellow. And then they make it all look blurry when the lenses get scratched. Can you guys see that? I don't know if it's really working. But see, that's what I'm seeing through these pieces of junk. And there's a bunch of debris here all the time. And it makes everything look yellow. Kind of like a crappy yellow too, not a good yellow where you can actually see what's going on. These I love, because see, they do darken things, but not to the point where you can't see what you're doing. And even with all of these are my mowing glasses. I keep these in here just for mowing. Even with all the grass on there, these lenses do not scratch. I've had this pair probably for 2 years now, and they're just for in shop. I don't use them anywhere else. But yeah, you can hardly tell. Very little glare and reflection. Well, that's mostly from the phone anyway on the inside. But like I said, they're the best thing I've ever found, and they're the absolute cheapest thing out there. Imagine that. Well, and I will say, I'm raving about these things because if you need them tight to your eyes to keep stuff from going under and in here, you just push them back and they stay back. You could get a thing to tighten them and hold them back if you're having issues with the headphones on. I just push them back, hardly anything. See, if you wear them like this, if you wear them down a little bit, stuff will get up in there, especially when you're like thermaling stone or doing this and wood chips are flying this way. it'll get up in there. I get stuff stuck in my nose all the time. I have one of those noses that catches all kinds of stuff from outer space. But if you just push these tight, they stay really well and they don't fog up. They still breathe well. Well, what's cool about this thing is you see that rotationally I can go against grain and it still kind of comes out. Here I was going with the grain with the rotation. There I was going against the grain with the rotation, meaning I didn't flip the tool when I went from here to here. I just kept the tool the same direction. You can flip the tool and go with grain. It's not hard. But sometimes I just don't feel like doing it. See there? This little bit versus this here and that there, not a whole lot of difference. We'll do it the easy way. So you guys, did you see the videos of me at the fair? I was doing these all day, every day at the fair. And well, and that's all that I was doing all day, every day at the fair was these little bears, and I was selling them just like this. I wasn't putting any color on them, no oils, no varnishes, selling them just like this, 50 bucks, 60 bucks a piece. And they go from, I mean, I usually sell them for 100 on the online stores, but between eBay and Etsy, or a little bit more, but by the time you get done paying for shipping materials, paying your fees to Etsy and eBay, now they're even charging you taxes, plus the time that you have invested into going online and listing your items, getting good photos, all that. I might make $25, $30 profit off each one of these if I just go and do a bunch of these at a fair, don't put any varnish, and those are finished on Etsy and eBay. Those have color. Those have varnish and oil on them. If I'm just doing a pile of these, I got my blocks of wood here that I special make so that these don't crack. And I show this all the time in all my videos as a reminder of getting good wood for your carvings. I get the heartwood isolated, right? So all the grain, I just take a block. This isn't a real good piece. I'm still going to use it though. It's still going to work good. It might be a really good piece by the time I'm done with it. These are the Primo blocks. These are the really nice ones. You see where the grain is on that one? This is a quarter. This is actually a quarter, full quarter cut. That's kind of quarter cut too, but almost half, you know. These are full quarter, which is what we go for, which is what I try to get all the time. Is that a bee drone? They look like a little tiny little baby bee. So, that being that, what's going on? What's everybody up to these days? I got lots of projects going on, lots of things going on. Hard for me to keep up with stuff. Hard for me to keep up with the YouTube channel and the stuff going on with the channel all the time. I don't know what's going on. What are you guys up to? What's everybody doing today? Bellow, is that's what minions say. Bellow. Super cool, man. Thank you. Yeah. Wes does it. All right. Yeah, Patel said be careful. I didn't want the sander to jump out of control and try running me over. Yeah, so what's going on, guys? Here, you want to stare at my rock pile? There's my stone pile. So I'm just doing this video mostly to see what my analytics happens here. YouTube analytics is kind of crazy lately. YouTube's gotten to where Oh, it's going. What's up, Mr. Red? Greetings from Canada. Love Canada. Um, Great country, great people. Uh, haven't been to Canada in a very long time. Kind of miss it. Always been a good time when we went up there when we were kids. Thousand Islands was that was a regular hangout of ours when I was growing up. We used to go to Alex Bay, ride out on the. We had a like a John boat. Is that what they call it? Is that what they call a boat where you steer the motor? The motor just got a throttle on it. Whatever, like a dinghy. It was like a big old wooden. It was huge. It was a big old wooden boat. You'd pack like 5-6 people in the thing and go out in the bay and go behind the wakes of all the big ships and all the big boats that came in and out. We used to go to Bolt Castle a lot when I was up in Alex Bay. My family, or my uncle, I think he rented or he got work trade on a like really nice place up there. They had like the big flat rocks out and back. We used to go stand on the rocks and go fishing, and I just remember it being a great time. Always a good time up there. Always windy, really windy. Beautiful weather all the time. Even if it was cold, it was still a great place to be. We always loved it up there. Used to go to Niagara Falls. Been to Ottawa. Ottawa was cool. There was another uncle of mine was a well-known wood carver. I'm down. I'm about 6 hours from the Canadian border, in New York, in an area called the Finger Lakes region. It's pretty here too. A lot of lakes and boating and tourism. Another uncle of mine, well-known woodcarver, used to teach at a school up there. I believe it was in Canada, called Bavarian Village. Is like a crafters village. They had a bunch of woodworkers. I remember barrel making, like making wine barrels or whiskey barrels, was actually a demonstration you could watch. People dressed old-timey, people dressed normal. He was an instructor at a carving school. In the carving school, the woodworking there, I mean, these are some of the best woodworkers that you'd ever see in your life. Probably, he was actually well known. He won a lot of awards in his lifetime. And it was cool to visit his shop here back home and hang out there as a kid. I was pretty spoiled in that way. I'm doing the YouTube thing. It's weird because I do a live feed and I get 30-some thousand views or 16,000 views or 9,000 views. Well, and then I make a published video of the same exact thing and I get like 100 views, or I get 200. And what's weird is, as soon as I put those published videos up, my analytics, my YouTube stats drop drastically. Like my pay goes way down. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with YouTube. Whether it's worth even making published content anymore, because it seems nobody is interested in published content, and YouTube now is switching over their preferences to live feed. I guess everybody's got to do live feed. All right, let me explain the water tank. This thing, I can't even use this water tank right now because if you can see what it says on the sign. That's a weed killer tank. I bought that. I paid $20 for it. And it had tape over that with the price on it. And it was at a local reused goods store where they take in donation stuff. Get farm products there, whatever, gardening products. Well, I was like, how much is that water tank? The guy's like, walks out, he looks around it, and he goes, oh, here it says $20. Well, that was facing, that was covered up, had stuff up against it. Like, all right, I'll pay $20 for it. I get it home, I peel tape off, and boom, there it is. That's your weed killer. So I can't use this water tank for anything other than fire suppression. And I don't want it anywhere near anything where animals are going to be drinking, where it's going to be dripping out. I got to get a big hose for it too. So that's kind of a bummer because I bought it for water storage for use around here for pressure wash and stuff like that. Until I get it completely stripped out inside, it's too bad. It's got to sit there. It's sad when people do that too. They hide something like that. If I had looked inside of it, and that was the problem, is I didn't actually look down in it to see what was in it, I would have seen the weed killer, and I know what weed killer looks like. It's like a white gummy substance. And you can smell it too. I've worked around a lot of that stuff. I should have checked it before I bought it. But I brought it home. I got a tank for fire stuff. It's been sitting here over a year now. I may just cut the top out, spray it out if I get water here, because we don't have running water here yet. I may just cut the top out of it, or pull the plastic right out, use it as a firewood cage. So I could put a sign on that and stack firewood. The whole top of it's open. I could cut them bars across the top too. Put a sign on it, firewood, $125 for that size or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Yeah, you're asking a question I can't. Jamani. Jacomi. Giacomo. I can't even read it. Something. La Pietra? Pietra? Is that that's a statue by Michelangelo? I've been to Italy. I've seen a lot of Michelangelo's and Da Vinci's work. Donatello. Florence and Milan. Toured around those two cities. Pisa. Went to Pisa, saw the Leaning Tower. That was really cool. Went in the building next to the Leaning Tower, the big church or big government state house, whatever it was. That was a really wicked cool tour. Like a big fortress. It was a really big fortress. It's right next to the Leaning Tower. Didn't go in the tower because there's lines out the door. Going in, basically you go in it or whatever, go walk around up at the top. I don't know if they might not have been I think people were going in. I can't really be sure. We toured around a lot of cool landmarks like that when I was there. So yeah, I'm just messing with the YouTube thing right now. Trying to figure out what to do to keep the channel going. And it's like if I do live feeds only, I get a lot of subscribers, I get a lot of views, a lot of new views, a lot of new subscribers, really great stuff. But my pay doesn't go up by a whole lot. It goes up a little tiny, like by $1 or $2. And I'm only making like $10 a month off YouTube. I'm not making any money. So, you know, I joke about it. Basically, YouTube they pay for gas and shoes. They buy me my shoes and they give me a little stipend for gas, all the gas and oil that I use throughout the year. I spend about $7,000 a year just on fuel and oil, maybe more. Just for the business. I think last year I spent about 12 grand in fuel and oil just for the business. So I only do the YouTube because it's kind of fun talking to you guys. It's fun showing you guys stuff. But if I put all these time into like putting together a video, editing, mixing music in, taking the time to make the music for the video, taking the time to make content for the video, keeping all that. My computer's overloaded with stuff. I've got multiple phones just full of information, full of videos, full of footage. That's a lot of work and a lot of time invested. Let's see, there's an old carving I did. There's my big bear over there. You saw the video of that. But if I do edited content, it seems like a lot of time and effort goes into getting very little back from YouTube. So I don't really focus my energies on that right now. Like I said, it's doing the weird thing again where I'm getting much more out of. There's my mess of a shop. Messy shop. Medals. I won medals in doing something. So I'm not really focused a lot on edited videos. Mostly just been doing live feed stuff. Let's see here. Now, go backwards from here. We'll take one of these. We'll take one of our good blocks here that I just did. Just got these blocks ready. Carving. This one's kind of weird. The bottom of it's all lumpy in here. I don't know. if I can get it flat. This saw, it's cutting kind of funny. Clean cut. We'll go with that. When you take a piece like this and you cut it, then you can see where the wood is going to crack. You see how much good wood and how much bad you have. It's pretty dried out. It's a little bit more dried out than I actually want it to be. So we'll see how much this one cracks or doesn't crack after a while. I'm going to try to stay away from the cracked wood. Only got 2 screws in that one. We'll use it. Well, use it as is. Alright, so to show you guys, and I've shown you before, to do the little bears. Get the workhorse out. It's here. 1967, I believe, was the year that they made these. It's a good saw. kind of like the bigger saw. I like the way that it handles. Don't have a lot of room here to move around though. Oh, good to see people here. Good to see everybody here. Hope all's going well for everybody. Thanks for the likes, guys. Thanks for hanging out, watching my videos, checking out what's going on in woodshop world, stonework world. Now this is just a real quick, simple piece. I'm not getting real involved. Too much fanciness with these. These are just quick, easy sell. They don't go for a whole lot, so I'm not spending a whole lot of time trying to make them. Said hi. I don't understand. Is that AI saying that, or is that why people are actually typing said hi? I can't understand that there, Geo. Sorry, guy. I don't know what you're saying. Translate. I'd have to close this out and go into translate to figure out what it says. Now we'll pick up the big heavy saw. She's already dead on battery. Already out. She's out of here. She's taking her exit early. There was another cord floating around here somewhere. Oh, it's plugged into that thing. Too many cords on the floor. This thing doesn't cut hardly worth anything, no matter how much I sharpen this chain. It still seems to cut very slow. Like there's a lot of restriction holding it back. It's just got a tiny little chain on it. A lot of carvers love it. I think it's cool stuff. I got one on that electric saw with the little short bar. Got one on here that cuts like crazy. Sucker rips. But anything bigger than that little 8-inch bar, it just doesn't. There's too many teeth, too much chain for the size of tooth, I think. It slows itself down. Because this is a much more powerful saw than that. And I've actually cut the rates down on this and modified this chain a little bit to try to cut faster. It still just doesn't go through the wood quickly. And it always wants to cut like dead on straight, like straight through the wood. It doesn't like cutting curves. No matter how much you mess with the chain to make it try to cut more curvy. All my other chains cut real curvy and fast. The thing I do like about this chain is it cuts super smooth. And yeah, there's about that. So yep, we're just here roughing pieces out, working on pieces, working on carvings, getting inventory done, getting stuff ready to sell. It gets kind of boring at times, and I need to have music. I need to have like my favorite music going in order to really lock myself in on it and really get excited about it. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't like me to have that music on my videos. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to get into rhythm right now. Hard to get a good flow going. There's a bunch of people there now. What's going on, everybody? How's your day? Yeah, so I went from big saw, now I'm down to little saw. This saw is fun. Sometimes you just don't need all that. I like using the bigger saw as much as possible. because it cuts a lot faster. Doesn't run out of oil every 10 minutes. These little saws don't hold a lot of oil. This one cuts pretty quick with that little 8-inch bar on it. See, there's where our little bears start to take shape. There's times that I discover things too. Sometimes by making a mistake, I discovered something that I could add to my carvings. Just a character, a certain way of looking, or something. So anytime you make mistakes, kind of go with it, try to make it look like it fits. stuff that I do now that I've looked at for 20 years thinking, I want to do that, I want to make that, I want to try that. Then every time I get home, and I'd always think about it while I was at my job or something. Then I get home, and the whole way going home, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I get there, boom, the minute I step in the shop, got distracted for years. 20 years of distraction. Well, I get asked a lot. I get asked by people like, what inspires it? Like, how do you be inspired? I'm like, I'm not really inspired a whole lot. Not really inspired by a whole lot most of the time. My inspiration mostly is just getting up and going out and doing something good for the day. You know, because I have so many things that I could always be doing. I mean, as a selling artist, and a lot of artists have issues with this, they're like, I can't sell anything, I never sell anything, I never get anything done, and I'm like, my problem is I'm always selling. Every time I'm in the shop, I'm making stuff to sell. Like, I have the exact opposite. I'm always out of stuff. I mean, I hear from a lot of artists, they're like, I have so many they have all these creative ideas, and they sit and talk about all these creative ideas. I don't really get a lot of that. Like, I get one or two things that I want to do, and I'll keep it in my head for the next 10 years until I do it. And it's not a matter of, it's just a matter of me finding the time to do it. To sit down and go, oh, there, finally carving that big face out of the stone that I wanted to carve. Because now I have the tools all together, I have this, I have that. It's more a matter of right place at the right time for me, having all the elements together in order to do it, than it is actually being inspired to just get up and do it. It's like my dreams here with the shop, to see it become what I want it to become. Well, right now, half of my tools and equipment are off on another job. And they've been there for the past year. Like my whole toolbox and my machine that I use here for moving stuff around, I gotta have a certain way of doing things here that keeps me inspired to come here every day and do this. My inspiration is more in the function and the way that things go here every day. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. Yeah, so there's a rough out. There's a little roughed out piece. I'm probably gonna bounce. I've been on here over an hour and a half. Been fun, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next time.